proposed high-speed rail link and it cutting costs and bringing benefits to the north of England sooner. This is according to the man in charge of HS2.
Well, when plans for the service were first unveiled, it was announced it would cost roughly £32.7 billion in today's prices.
Last year, though, it was revealed that contingency plans to minimise the noise and impact on the environment pushed those costs up to £42.6 billion.
On top of that, the price of the trains that will run on the lines predicted to be about £7.5 billion, bringing the total cost to just over £50 billion in all. And critics say that's a price we simply can't afford to pay.
Well, let's talk to the man tasked with the job of making it pay, Sir David Higgins, the chairman of HS2. Welcome. As the costs go up, people get worried, don't they? How can you reassure them that the costs aren't going to be spiralling out of control?
Well, the most important thing I've done is look at the first phase, it's London to Birmingham, and extensively review that cost and then look at scope. Really important to get scope right. All my experience on major projects, if you do that properly, so the decision on the high-speed 1 link, on Euston, doing it properly, and then potentially getting that kickstart of going to Crewe 6 years earlier, that's all a case of saving money by getting scope right at start.
How much will be saved?
Well, the contingency is £7.4 billion, which on phase 1, which is a lot of money. It might sound a lot of money, but you can spend that if you waste it. So time is money. We could lose time in the legislative programme. We don't know the full extent of when that will be finished, but that could also cost money.
What you're saying, in essence, to the politicians is for them to get a move on, but it's unlikely that the full parliamentary legislation will be passed before the next general election. If there's a change of government, who knows what will happen after that. And also, the current bill only provides funding for the first phase of HS2 up to Birmingham. You're saying, actually, we should start sort of building further north at the same time. But clearly, that can't happen.
No, you're right. The first phase is to Birmingham. I'm going back to government and saying I think it would be an advantage to move it to finish the line at Crewe at this stage, because Crewe is a very logical junction. It's where you can go to North Wales and to Liverpool. It's always been a big railway town, and the section from Birmingham to Crewe is relatively straightforward to build and relatively cheap cost per kilometre compared to the rest of the track. So yes, I do recommend that. How it's done, what form of legislation, we're not sure yet.
Yeah, but this is the problem: is that the legislation isn't going to happen before next year at the earliest. So the costs are bound then, surely, to go up. You won't be able to save any money.
The review I've looked at on the first phase allows for the fact that you won't have royal assent by the election, that it will spill over. Importantly, this whole project will probably span 4 parliaments, and therefore bipartisan support, transparency is absolutely crucial to get right.
You've got a reputation as the man who took on the Olympics, brought it in on time and under budget. Is this a bigger challenge, do you feel?
This is a huge challenge, but it's absolutely crucial for the nation. What you'd have to say, why in the hell would I do it? I'm doing it because I spent a lot of time in the Midlands and the North in the early 2000s looking at regeneration. And transportation, in terms of bringing jobs, is crucial. And this rebalancing the economy is something I'm very passionate about.
You don't appear, though, because the legislation hasn't been passed through and isn't going to be passed through, as Bill was saying, anytime soon, to have the support that you would have had for the Olympics project.
The Olympics, we had the advantage of a bill within, I suppose, 9 months of the Parliament of the successful awarding of the Games. Here, I think the legislation should be able to get through so that it won't be a delay to starting stage 1. We plan to start stage 1, phase 1, in 2017. Now, the royal assent should be well and truly by then.
I mean, still considerable opposition, as you know, to doing this project at all. A lot of people say it's a white elephant, that we don't really need it in this day and age, and we've already spent hundreds of millions of pounds on various different parts of the project and haven't built a single inch of track.
That's right. That's all the design work at the start. All I would say is I spent 3 years running the existing rail network. I know how difficult it is to maintain the current West Coast line, and I know how expensive it is as well. It's a Victorian railway system. It's expensive to maintain. It breaks down. It will always break down.
So we have to go. We have to go.
Capacity is the argument. In the end, the existing line is really 170 years old at its heart. It's alignment.
But not the existing track.
No, the track's new, but of course, well, not all of it's new. Part of it's new, but the alignment, its route, its gauge, the size of the tunnels, the bridges. Over half the bridges are over 100 years old. It's a Victorian railway. There's no other country in Europe that has this ageing infrastructure and hasn't replaced core routes with modern-day railways.
Sir David Higgins, good to have you on the sofa talking to us. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
It's 16 minutes past.